First of all, do you have any thought on the fine? I mean, it was so much fun. What happened with the players, with the fans spilling on?
That's kind of above me. So
What do you think in general, though, about, just the celebrations after a game? Does it take something away if they get fined for doing it?
Not on my part. The one thing I was really impressed with was just the efficiency in which the security, and it was, I've been in a lot of court stormings. I felt it was the one done the right way, to be honest with you. I felt everybody was protected. It was a gradual kind of court storming that took place, but no one got put in any danger or anything. I felt our security and our people in the building did an amazing job.
A little bit on the result, only 9 bench points in the win.
Yeah.
So what does that say about this core starting group of guys? One, from a physical standpoint, but also like their mental fortitude to play at such a high level for such a sustained period of time.
Yeah, it's who we are. It's kind of what I said after the game and been my messaging to the team the whole week and every day since the game. Like, we didn't do anything special. We played to who we are. I thought the guys off the bench really did a good job of impacting the game. It didn't necessarily have to be scoring, but some of the, like Timo's lob and some of the deflections and defensive plays he made, Solly's little physicality plays with Vasar were huge. Noam's 4-point play was huge. So that little impact that they have, it may not show up necessarily in the stat sheet, but in the flow of the game has been big. And then just the guys who are playing heavy minutes, just their ability to, I think it was our first time putting together a 40-minute game. And that's what was very impressive is that, Trey and Malik and Sheldon and Ernest and those guys and Dante, they just continued to play and compete. And I thought we did a good job of subbing around the media at the right time to try to buy him some breaks and stuff like that. It may not be long, but we're just trying to just win the margins if we can.
Coach, how valuable?
Oh, go ahead.
Michelle, go ahead. That's fine.
Oh, I was just gonna ask NC State. I mean, what are you expecting? They're coming off they had won 6 in a row, and then they lost big against Louisville. What are you expecting from that team? And Copeland, I think he's averaging like 7 assists a game.
I mean, we're going to get their best punch, and we're going to get their best punch early, and we got to be ready right away because they're a team that if they jump on you or they smell blood and water, they're attacking. So we have to do our job initially of just playing with poise. They're really good. They're really explosive on both ends. Defensively, they kind of pressure you. They can turn you over. And offensively, they get out. And Copeland does a great job of finding shooters. And, they lead the country, not the country, but the conference. They're high in the country in makes and percentage from behind the arc. So we have to do a good job of not helping them get in those situations.
I just wanted to go back if I could. You said it after the game, you just said it again about we just played how we are or stuck to our identity. How valuable do you think that can be? Essentially, you could tell your team that, hey, if we do this, this is a result moving forward.
It's been the thing, the messaging the whole season. My hope as a coach is now that we have a big win or, a ranked win that it just resonates a little more with them. But you look at the stat sheet, you look at the box score, it looks like every other game. The one difference is we had 8 turnovers instead of 14. And if we take care of the ball and if we can have 11 or less turnovers, we'll be able to win any game. If we give away possessions and give away, points off turnovers, the margins for us is so slim that, that kind of takes away from what we do best when we're able to just give away free points.
Is there something in particular watching film that, looking back, that stood out to you even more as you reviewed it back, that stood out than even after the game?
No, I think there was a segment in the game where I thought Ernest changed the game for us. Probably around from that 11 to 8 minute mark, he came up with like 4 big offensive rebounds in the second half. That kind of separated us, but that's who we are. We try to get 40% of our misses. We try to get points in the paint. We were able to do that. And then down the stretch, I felt like we had some turnovers in the press that kept the game a little bit closer than it needed to be, where it should have been at least 12 to 15 in my mind, but it ends up being 9. And that's because we gave them some life with some of the turnovers late.
Going back to NC State, the question that, in particular with Darian, just that what he's able to provide them and then the difficulties, the challenges that you guys have been facing.
Yeah, he's playing a lot different than he did at Texas Tech. You know, he's playing a lot more on the perimeter, but he also has the capability of playing that bully ball, and they hunt matchups. So we have to be kind of smart with how we approach him and how we guard him, but he's shooting the ball at a high clip. You know, coming into the year, he's one of the best players in America, and he's shown that recently. But for them, he does so much for them, him and Copeland both. I think Copeland gives the whole team and the whole building, to be honest with you, like energy and life. He's somebody that gives you life because you know if you run, you're going to get the ball. Like, he's going to find you, he's going to get you the ball. So it just adds to the team. And so those two guys are as important as players for a team that I've seen all year.
Coach, there's 4 players on NC State averaging at least 13.5 points a game.
Yeah.
Just what does that balance kind of say about the overall process on offense?
Yeah, it does. It just Coach Wade has always done a great job of giving his players freedom, and with that freedom gives them confidence. And so you have a lot of people whose games have completely changed. Like Trey Holloman wasn't necessarily as big of a shooter at Michigan State, and now he's shooting, a lot of threes. Same thing with Darion Williams and Paul McNeil didn't play at all last year, and now he's a guy who is playing a lot. He's at a 40-point game. So, I think that's what Will Wade's superpower is as a coach, is his ability to give his guys confidence and belief and get them to go out there and play that way. And I think it all starts with Copeland, to be honest with you. He's the engine. He's the head of the snake. He gets those guys those shots. He gives them that confidence. And so he's a big part of what they do.
Can you talk about the atmosphere there? I've been there, you've been there a lot. It's loud.
Yes.
It's like up and down.
To me, it is the hardest place to play in the conference. And I say that with all respect to Duke and Carolina and everybody, but North Carolina State is a different type of animal. Just their environment, the fans are like right behind the bench, they're right on top of you. They're a fan base that has tradition to win the national championship, but they also have this kind of edge and this chip on their shoulder of being in the middle of Carolina and Duke, where they feel like they're not as respected, so it adds to the building. It's one of the hardest places to play in.
I remember they get there early. I think the fans, they're there screaming like an hour before the game even starts.
Yep, they're there early. They're loud. They're really good this year, so I imagine they'd be even louder. It's a Saturday game, so it just adds to everything. But, the good part about us is we've been on the road. We've been in all types of environments. We've won. It's not anything that's new to us. We just have to come out and execute.
True was on the bench the other day in warm-ups. What's his situation going into this game?
He came back Monday, and I didn't feel it was right just to throw somebody out there after, just not practicing and not being around for a week. It's just impossible to say, all right, Carolina, you go out there, run around. So, he's slowly working himself way back. We'll see what happens on Saturday. Just kind of we kind of practice but haven't, with this the short turnaround. But he's been getting his extra work. He's been doing everything to kind of get back into where he was. So we'll see what happens. But he's back, and, he's full go.
2 players in particular, besides Copeland, there's Paul McNeil, leads the conference in three-point percentage efficiency, and Van Allen Lubin, who leads in field goal percentage. So you give each player the same amount of respect, but which one is affecting the game plan for you the most?
For me, in general, in all games, it's the three-point shooting that is just because it breaks open the game, and they can put runs together where they can run off 6, 8 in a 5-minute segment like they did against SMU. The thing with Van Allen Lubin is just he's their kind of physicality. He's their brute. He gets offensive rebounds. He'll finish. He'll get the and-ones. So we just have to make sure we limit his impact on the game from a physicality standpoint. But Paul McNeil's ability to make 11 threes in a game or make 6 in a game is as impressive as there is.
I want to ask about Ernest a little bit more. Obviously, coming off the game he had. When you first decided to recruit him, to bring him here, why did you feel that he would be a good fit? What did you see in him before? And can you just talk about what it is about his game that you liked?
Character, makeup, him as a person. Ernest Uday is one of the best people you want to be around. He's one of those people that you always want to be around. Those guys always figure it out. They find a way. Sometimes it's just giving them a little bit of confidence, giving them a little bit more belief for that like switch to flip. And so I was betting on him as a person. Of course, he's 6'11" and lob threat, shot blocker, defensively one of the best bigs. But I felt he could make a jump because of who he is as a person, and it's true.
Coach, sticking with Ernest, you said it the other day again, just he played at KU, Trey with the winning at Michigan and Malik obviously Indiana. Coming from those, how important was that to find maybe the guys from those kinds of programs and trying to build what you're trying to build here?
It's huge because you know what they're coming from and who they've been coached by. You know what I mean? Dusty May's a really good coach. Bill Self is one of the greatest coaches ever. Jamie Dixon, even Ernest being at TCU, is one of the best defensive minds. For Malik, Mike Woodson's been in the NBA, really good coach. But also being at a blue blood like Indiana, you understand the importance of winning and what those games matter. Same thing with Ernest at Kansas, the success Michigan had. So all that is already kind of built in them. So some of that stuff is part of their makeup and character. Same thing with Drew, like he won 2 Mountain West championships. So understanding that, Dante state championships, EYBL championships, winning matters at all levels, and having people who have won matters as well. So that's always the first thing I look at, like what is their pedigree, what's their stock, what are they coming from.
You spoke to us.
Got time for a couple more?
You spoke to us early in the year about maybe the transition of coaching, and one of the things you said was coaching the staff was kind of. I'm just curious now at this point in the season, if you kind of reflect what's it been like as being a head coach and the journey, everything.
Man, it's been so fast that I haven't even thought about it. It'll probably be something I'll process hopefully as the season ends. But in the moment, I'm just focused on what can we do every day to get better. And part of that is also me as well, making sure I'm communicating everything clearly, making sure everything is concise and condensed. As a head coach, sometimes you can overthink stuff and have so many thoughts on your head. You don't want to give it all to the players and give it all to the staff because then it can be too confusing. So just making sure that we are, very efficient in what we're doing is kind of where I am at this part of the season.
Can I ask one follow-up on that? What did it feel like in the locker room to get the mask? The players gave you the mask and threw you around.
Yeah.
They were throwing you up and down.
Yeah.
What were you thinking and feeling at that moment when you're flying through the air?
The one thing I was thinking and feeling was like, man, I got to start working out again because I'm getting moved around too easily. So I got back in the weight room yesterday. But for me, it's all about them. It's all about them. I'm just the person that is hopefully guiding them and giving them things that can help them. It's just, I want them to know I'm in it with them. And that's the most important thing to me. I don't want them to feel like, I'm not as invested and I'm not in the trenches with them. And I hope they feel that way. So that's the most important thing. That's part of why I go in there and celebrate with them. One, because winning is hard at any game, any level, but also just understanding the process that we go through. Like, it's not easy. So we need to celebrate it and make sure that they know, like, I'm in there with you.
Coach,
You mentioned Will Wade earlier, and obviously this is his first year in the ACC, but he's been around the block for a while. Just what are some of those unique characteristics of a Will Wade coach team?
I mean, it's, we both work for the same person. We both work for Shaka Smart. So, watching, you see some of the stuff that has transitioned through Shaka. But for Will Wade, like I said earlier, I think one of the greatest things he does is he instills confidence and belief in his team and in his players. They're always going to be really good defensively. They're going to pressure. They're going to give you a bunch of different looks. And then offensively, he kind of gives them that freedom to kind of play. But also it's like controlled chaos. It may look like there's just playing, but there's a method behind his playing. I think that's one of the best things he does is kind of make them feel like they're getting coached without getting coached. And you can tell he holds them to a high standard and accountable. He's won everywhere he's been. And it's not going to be any different at NC State. He won at McNeese, won at LSU, won at VCU, won at Chattanooga. So he's a good coach.
Chris, your wraps up.
Coach, just with Marcus Allen, how he's doing, any update, and obviously the team, the staff, we see all the support if there's anything.
Yeah, Marcus is as amazing as a young man as you can imagine, just with everything that he's going through. For him to show up and be around and want to be around and want to travel, Like he texted me today, like, Coach, I'm gonna be late for practice. I'm sorry, I gotta get my scans done. So they said it's gonna take 2 hours. And just for him to even think like I'm gonna be mad at him for missing practice because he's, taking care of his scans and stuff like that. But his strength of just wanting to keep everything normal, practicing like he gets in practice. It's not long, but he gets out there and he practices, and we get him a sub. But part of this environment for him also is that this is kind of part of his therapy as well, and keeping everything as normal as possible, and just treating him like Marcus when he's here, and not everything that he's going through. But his strength and his just resilience and his character, I mean, for what he's going through